What has work ever done for us? Nothing.
Nothing for me. That's for damn sure.
Poor Tony.
Other than it booked me on this great podcast.
What podcast?
So your podcast.
Oh, this. I don't think I've ever heard anybody refer to it as a great podcast.
That's because you've never heard someone refer to it, Dan. But if they ever referred to it, that's how they'd say it.
Hey, watch him! With Dan and Tony! Hey, watch him! With Dan and Tony! It's Hey Watching, yeah!
Welcome to Hate Watching with Dan and Tony, the only show on the internet that dares go to the depths that we go to, which doesn't mean anything. Thus, you can't sue us for saying something that's false.
That's directly from our lawyer, that exact verbiage. So
Our lawyer's not a lawyer.
Get over yourselves.
Who are you?
I'm Tony.
He's Tony, my casual sidekick of many years.
And lover in the nighttime.
It gets cold out there.
I'm like a space heater. I'll tell you that right now.
I can only imagine sleeping in bed with you is you do not need sheets. You just
we have a king size bed, and she's like on the edge of the bed, and she's like, "Don't come any closer to me. You're making me hot." It's like, all right, fine. Go sleep on the floor.
Just wait till menopause.
When do I go through that? That's going to be
you
tough.
do not go through it. She goes through it, and then she is like hot and sweating in, like when it's 0 degrees, and it's very bad.
So now then she'll know exactly how I feel. Listen, that was meaner than it should be. I don't wish that upon anybody.
Do some women's issues. We watch movies and then we give our unwanted, unsolicited reviews and opinions about said movies, even if they made $239 million on a $50 million budget. That does not stop us. Even the number one film when it came out in Russia and made like $19 million in a weekend.
This one?
Yeah, this one. This one movie did very good.
Wow. Oh, good for them.
Yeah, I read all the numbers. What we're doing is we're doing my pick, Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters 2013.
Boo.
Jeremy Renner and what's her name? Gemma Aterton or something? British lady.
British. And the Brit.
Clocking in at 1 hour and 27 minutes. And
felt longer.
What?
I said felt longer.
I will have to say Acts 1 and 2 were your kind of typical bad movie. Act 3, loved it. Top to bottom, loved Act 3. Loved everything about it. Act 3 was wonderful.
You're going to have to remind me what Act 3 was, because I didn't ever feel like, hey, this is a good movie.
It was never a good movie.
Oh, okay.
Never a good movie, but I think in Acts 1 and 2 they were trying to hit like a certain sort of thing. In Act 3 they hit it, and Act 3 is just like Act 3 is where the big giant witch battle on the mountain. And I mean, yeah, are there a million problematic things with it? Of course there are, because it's nighttime, and then 1 minute later it's like mid-morning. And you're just like, wait, what? The witch flies away 6 miles, and then they like jog up and are there. There's if you're looking,
those brooms move pretty quickly. I don't know if you noticed, but it's fine. We can totally keep up on foot. It's
there. I'm on top of a mountain. The witch flies away on her broom, and then I'm running up on there. There's no explanation as to how anything really. The physical world is kind of a blur in this.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
How they have a machine gun set up on top of a mountain. You're like, how did that get up there? Who carried that? Who set that up? They did this in silence? No.
Yeah, this movie doesn't make any sense.
But once that machine gun starts going, I was like, I'm all into this movie.
You're just checking out, and you're like, okay, let's do this.
You have made it's kind of like in Jonah Hex. If they'd have really done a little more with that machine gun,
they'd leaned into that Gatling horse gun. That would have been pretty fun.
Yes, but
they didn't.
At the end of this movie, they lean into the ultimate stupidity of this movie. And it was fun. You probably hated the whole ending because you're so.
I think here's the problem: is that the act 1 and 2 were just they made me so angry that by the time we got there, I refused to enjoy myself
See,
because they didn't earn it. They didn't earn my love or adoration.
see, that's your problem, Tony. Is like I have the ability to separate, compartmentalize. I can analyze just 13 seconds of a movie. You expect to
Nope.
have your hand held and your bottle warmed and your.
What are you gonna drink a cold bottle of milk? What are you, an animal?
So we start off. They start off when I read this little fact. That's like they have the little factoids that pop up.
Yeah.
And the factoid is that they chose to make Hansel diabetic, and then initially they were going to make Gretel have an eating disorder, but they realized that was probably a bad idea.
The diabetes was a bad idea. Why is it in there?
The diabetes is such a bad idea, but it's really funny because they make it into like a key plot point, a key thing that has to occur at the end of the movie, and it's really kind of funny.
I'm glad you found it funny. I was like, every time they like hinted towards it, he's like, I got to give myself this weird shot or I die, and it's like, you don't even who diagnosed this for you? Did you guys have diabetes in this time era? Like, I don't understand what's happening. Do they just have insulin laying around back then? They don't know.
I meant to do my like diabetes research to see if they kind of had some idea at any point, prior to insulin and all that, which I assume is like a 50s thing.
Sure.
I'm sure it came up. But yeah, he pulls out, when he does it, he pulls out this syringe that is like just the biggest.
Yeah, the size of your fist.
And he just like
jabs it
into himself.
I think they should have played this more as a comedy.
I think if in the first 2 acts they'd have just amped up the comedy a little bit more, which they were kind of going for it, but
there were definitely hints. And so first of all, when Gary Sanchez pops up at the beginning of the movie, Will Ferrell and Adam McKay, I was like, oh, is this a comedy? Are they going to like make this like a funny supernatural romp? And I was excited. And then it wasn't funny. And I was like, what is happening?
It wasn't funny. And definitely a lot of cues were taken from the Evil Dead movies. And so you were kind of like, if they'd have leaned, because they leaned into it visually at times. And if you're like, if you really love those movies, just sort of go there a little more, because the audience.
We also love those movies, guys. You're not the only people that love those movies. Do more of them.
And I think like with horror movies is everybody making horror movies leans into all of the tropes, right?
I mean, if you want to do it right, yeah.
They're not like, oh, somebody does it this way, we better not do it that way at all. So
generally we're like, oh, that worked when that guy did it. Let's do it twice. Let's really hit that. Amp it up.
So we start off with a tracking shot from above. We got a cabin. We got to hide the children in the forest. They hide the children in the forest. And it's not like they have this set place to hide the children. They just sort of wander the children like up a path and just
literally drop them off in the middle of the woods. And this to me was the most relatable moment of the film. I was like, I get it. Just leave them. They'll be fine.
Tony's whole idea, just if he ever has kids at some point, he's just going to leave them somewhere. They're going to go to Yellowstone.
If he gets sick of them, just drive them to the woods, let them out, and be like, we'll be back tomorrow. Sad. That's a sad joke.
So the kids don't even really stay there very long.
No, because the kids are stupid. So they just fucking wander off. Idiots.
They wander off. They find the candy cottage, and immediately they're just like, no.
Yeah, listen. I mean, like I just said, kids are idiots, but are they this dumb? Would kids walk up to a house? Hey, what possesses you to take a bite out of a house? I don't even understand that. Why was the first person like, tree bark? I don't understand what's going on. And then they just keep eating. I know it's a fairy tale, and I know like the Grimm, whatever. I don't care. Okay, it's dumb and it doesn't work.
They certainly could have let us into this a little more. Like maybe we have the kids wander around the forest for a day or two, and they're like, "Oh, I'm hungry."
Exactly. They're not even hungry at this point. They probably ate right before they left. They've got a warm meal in their bellies, and they're like, nom, nom. Idiots.
So then they go inside, and the candles all light up, and then the witch appears, and the witch is just hideous. And we're
Yes.
like, oh, I thought we were going to play a little bit of a game where, there's some temptation, but no, there's no game. Immediately, we're thrown into cages, and then we're just like sticking candy in their faces, like eat this candy for no real reason. Which, of course, the idea of the initial story is they want to fatten up the kids.
Yeah, they want the kids to look a little bit like me.
Yes,
Because I'm going to be delicious.
they want to Tonyify them. But instead, she just sort of abuses them for like a minute. Just like no time at all.
Again, I don't know how much time has passed, but it feels pretty quick.
Like seconds, and then Gretel like pulls out a nail out of the floor, and just like picks the locks, and then they get him out of the cage, and then like just like in 30 seconds they like boom 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 boom, witch in the oven, boom. The only good
they somehow physically best a witch, which doesn't make any sense, and they don't do it in like a way where I believe it. Like they literally like they hit her, she doesn't get affected by a spell, he like punches her or something and knocks her down. I was like, this is a grown-ass woman witch. Okay, these kids are not going to be able to physically best her in an altercation. They need to come up with a plan of some sort to take her out, but they don't.
They don't. It's just there's no, and you kind of wanted that at the beginning. You kind of wanted to show that like these kids are crafty and that they wait till the witch falls asleep, but instead they're like, we're going to make these two kids as successful as the people that they're going to become. And
if not more successful.
Sure.
I would almost argue.
Yeah, that is true. So then we hit the titles, and the titles basically is just newspaper clippings of them like killing all these witches.
Now, newspapers, are they around?
I didn't do the research, but I mean, newspapers are pretty, printing press. I mean, Gutenberg Bible, what is that, 1400s?
I have no idea.
I think the first printed Bible is like 13 or 1400s.
Okay.
If you find one of those, it's worth a lot of money.
I'll keep an eye out for it. Thank you.
You ever go to somewhere and the person has something under the table and you're like, what's this?
What's this little guy?
Bible?
All right.
And it'd probably be in German also, I would assume.
So I wouldn't even know because I don't know German.
Don't know German. So you should learn German, then find the Gutenberg Bible, then you're set.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
It all worked out. And if you ever find like the complete Audubon bird books, you pick those up too.
Are those also in German? I don't know.
No, those are in American.
Okay, so I'll know those ones when I see it. Great.
Okay, so we see the montage of all the witches that they murdered. Okay.
What do you mean, okay? So I have problems.
Oh, you wanted more of an origin story?
No, not even that. My thing is like it's so public that they are hunting witches that it's very strange. It doesn't make any sense, especially in this movie. At some point, it seems like people don't really believe that they're witch hunt. Like the sheriff, the whole time in this movie is like, you guys can't help. We're going to take care of it ourselves because you're no good. But they're the most famous witch hunters in all of the land. I don't understand why they're so famous. It's all very weird to me.
Well, we understand why they're famous. We just don't understand why the sheriff's motivations make no sense at all.
Right. I mean, like, I don't understand why you would do both of those in the same movie is what I mean. Like, I get that we're making them famous, but if they are famous, then why is this guy so hesitant to let them play along? It doesn't make any sense in your own movie.
No, it makes absolutely no sense. And the sheriff character is like literally the least appealing thing about this whole movie because he is just...
And I love him so much.
Oh,
that's such a bummer.
The dude that plays him?
Yeah, he's the Russian astronaut from Armageddon, and
I know
he's
this
so
story.
good in that movie.
Yeah, he just plays like this giant asshole who's like, I hate you for being here. You're attracting the witches. You just like all these crazy things. And I mean,
Yeah, none of it makes sense.
there's there's 11 children missing from the town. It's like, yeah, you're being very ineffective. If someone else wants
Right?
to come in and do the job, you should be like,
Probably let him.
and I assumed they were going to make him in cohorts with the witches at some point, and they
Yes, that's a great assumption because that's where it seems like it's heading. But guess what? He's not at all. And then they just kill him off. It's like, okay, this is weird.
Yeah, he's just kind of a giant weird asshole. And so he's there, and there's this hot redhead, and he's all like, she's a witch. We got to kill her. We got to
burn her.
And then the mayor, and of course, we're like, where did she come from? Why is there this redhead? Why, we don't know any of those things. We just want to have this redhead inserted into the situation.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, of course, the mayor has hired Hansel and Gretel, who show up at the right opportune moment. And Hansel gets in there and looks at her teeth and checks her for infection. And he's like, she clean, let her go.
So now here's where I'm already pretty upset with the movie, but this is the moment that I was done with the movie because everyone seems to know witches are real. We have made witch hunters famous. So like we know that they're real. We know that people kill them.
Yes.
We're taking matters into our own hands. Great. I don't care. But the explanation with Jeremy Renner and his sister are like witches turn ugly. So if they don't look ugly, they're not a witch. There's no sores, there's no teeth. So if that's true, and everyone seems to know that that's true, why are they stringing this lady up?
Oh, everyone doesn't know that that's true.
How is that possible if these witches are so prevalent in their society? I have problems with this.
Well, I mean, everybody that's educated, I mean, we live in a country right now where 35% of the country doesn't believe in science.
I guess. I mean, that is true. I can't argue what you're saying there. All right, I'll let it go. I'll let it slide.
I mean, it's the setup is clumsy, but they're trying to set up these characters and trying to introduce information in a non-expository way. So Hansel isn't just saying, standing on his own in the middle of the courtyard saying, the easiest way to find a witch is to find the rot. And then we look at the, so they
But I do love a good soliloquy, Dan.
Yes, I know.
You know me.
So this is where these kind of movies, you want them to put a little bit of zhuzh in there where you're like, you actually feel a little bit like you're in the time period. Zhuzh.
Do they? Because they do not try to make that happen at all in this movie, but continue, please.
He refers to the people in the town as hillbillies, which you're kind of like
no.
Just clean up your language, a little bit, But these kind of movies are not going to do that. They're going to just sort of go down their path where Jeremy Rennering all over the place.
And it's just too much. It's too much Rennering.
He does it. So, he headbutts the sheriff and breaks his nose, which leads to the sheriff.
She headbutts the sheriff and breaks his nose. But she is totally unscathed.
Well, yeah, because the headbutt is like this magical thing. If you do it, you're unscathed. I mean, if you want to look at 100 movies, you will find 100 unscathed foreheads
and sometimes I buy it, sometimes I don't. I think you have to play that very carefully. For example, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Great. I totally buy it. That guy's head is probably hard as a rock.
Oh.
But if I'm in a movie and I'm headbutting somebody, I'm hurt. Guaranteed. You have to play this balance, okay? And I just didn't buy it in this movie.
See, but I don't think we have a movie where the person that does the headbutting gets injured. You say that if you were doing a movie, sure, you're not doing a movie.
Oh, I'm not doing a movie, Dan. You don't know me. You don't know my life.
You don't know me. So later on, he has like this little piece of leather, which is tied on with a cord, which I love that. I thought it was very funny and very embarrassing every time he had to show up.
And at least they did it. I feel like there's a lot of movies, and I'm not going to give this movie a lot of credit today, but this is one of the moments where it's like they dealt with it and they made it like a recurring kind of visual gag, and I appreciated it.
This movie also deals with people getting stabbed a bunch, and then you have to use magic and heal them. And everybody has to. Well, I mean, there are so many movies. There's
Just
so what?
Just the nonchalant way that you were like, and you have to use magic to heal them, as if that's the normal part. I get what you're saying. It just sounded very funny.
Most movies, people get stabbed in the gut, and then like will be like diving down an elevator shaft and like firing 7 machine guns and like are, like literally unaffected. This movie actually takes the time in the script to make sure that everyone gets fixed in some way. Or they have scars. And Jeremy Renner's character, when he strips naked and we have the sexy love scene, he's got scars all over his back.
Yeah, they both strip naked. It's a weird scene. It's very strange.
We're going to talk about that scene because it's really strange.
And it's totally bizarre.
You just do not understand why you've spent that real estate in the way. I mean, it wasn't that it was unappealing. It was just like, huh. Because I remember
exactly.
It says nudity, and I'm like, "There's going to be nudity in this movie?"
Yeah, I didn't see it coming.
Well, you didn't pay attention.
I can't read.
So then the mayor's like, "Oh, there's this strange cottage out in the woods that has a witch in it."
Now, has nobody checked this out? I didn't understand. He seemed very knowledgeable of this one house, and no one's gone and looked. I don't understand. I don't get it.
They go to the witch house, and lo and behold, there's a witch there. And
who could have seen that coming? And the answer is everybody. They all knew.
But they all knew, and they sent them there, and they fight the witch. And you're like, okay, things I liked about this one, it takes place in daytime.
Yep.
So many of these movies, what was it? What was that? The stupid the Scarlett Johansson movie we just did 2 weeks ago?
Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell. Let's put everything in darkness at night.
And like pure darkness. Like sometimes you can't see nothing. I mean, it's not Alone in the Dark where they actually turn out the lights, which is my favorite scene ever. But yes, again. Oh God, I want to rewatch it again now.
So it takes place during the day. They do all sorts of parkour-y things. And they work a lot of gimmicks into every one of these fights. And the gimmicks get more gimmicky as we go along in the movie. And I'm like, okay, this was kind of fun. It was kind of a fun fight. The choreography was decent. The music kind of pumped up. And I was like, okay.
How do you feel about the witches in this movie, Dan? I'm just about the witch lore specifically, about them. I assume they start human and then they slowly transform into this hideous mass of goo.
I think the beginning of the movie, I give the witches a 2.5 out of 10.
Okay.
At the end of the movie, when we get to the coven and all that, I give a 9 out of 10.
I can't believe that you fell for this so hard. They got you hook, line, and sinker in that third act, man.
Well, third act, the witches are crazy. There's a conjoined twin witches. There's a witch without legs. There's witches with these horns. There's just all these crazy witches that all.
And these are all positives to you.
Of course, this is interesting. I'm like, the rest of the witches, I mean, like, Famke Janssen, she's just like ugly makeup. Okay, other girl. Horns. Other girl. I don't know.
Porcupine witch.
Porcupine witch. They were just boring. And then you get to the end, and they're like all these crazy witches that you have to, like conjoin witches that you have to shoot in half. So that the 2 witches, and then they're crawling. One's crawling, and the other's on the back. I'm like, this is what I want to see.
Sure, but they don't introduce it earlier.
Nope.
So like when it was happening, I was like, how are these the same kinds of witches that we've been seeing this whole movie? This is such a weird turn to me. Because now instead of just like witches, it's kind of like monster witches.
Monster witches, yes.
And if it was always monster witches, and then Famke's the only smoking hot witch, I'm okay with it because she's like the leader of the witches, which is another thing we'll have to talk about at some point. The Grand Witches, I'm very confused on that sort of thing. But when it happened so late in the movie, so late, 60 minutes into an 80-minute movie was so late to me.
Yeah.
I was just like, what the hell is going on? I don't even know what these things are.
I mean, and they kind of pitched it earlier. I mean, at one point he talks about how he fought this frog witch that lived in a lake, and they kind of.
Yeah, I mean, that's during the sexy water scene, I think. So I don't know if I was fully paying attention.
Which is what when you're having a sexy water scene, please bring up the frog witch.
Yeah, amphibious witches.
please explain her weird frog breasts too. I mean, he does not, but it's like you want to kill the mood. Yeah, talk about.
Yeah, that's how you do it, Jeremy.
So they do this stuff. Finally, they shoot her through the foot, and then they string her up. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine.
It was a decent fight scene. You were like, okay. Yeah. I'm like, and this was the first point I was like, okay, maybe we can this is just a sort of fun, rompy movie that you could just enjoy. Let's see. We'll see what happens.
I wasn't enjoying it.
You go back to the mayor's, and it's kind of a dead end what they had, but they get like a special chart that says the blood moon's going to happen, and that's when the witches are going to be super powerful. Okay. And we got 3 days, 3 nights. And then
is that when they're interrogating the witch?
No.
That's later?
That's much later, yeah.
Okay, remind me, because I have real problems with that scene.
Of course. So we know that. So we got our clock, 3 days. I'm like, good. That's another thing I liked about this movie is that we have our 3 days. We know what we're doing. We're not having to save the whole world. We're just trying to do a thing. And of course, the thing that we're trying to save the world from is that the witches want to kill these children so that they can become immune to fire, when only one witch has any problem with fire in this whole movie.
That you see overall. And not only that, but here's my biggest problem with, and now we're going to jump around just a touch real quick.
Sure.
But there's a point where the nerdy sidekick, guy that comes along and he's like, hey, how do you kill witches? And Jeremy Renner lists like 7 ways to kill witches and then ends with, oh yeah, and set them on fireworks as well. So becoming immune to fire really doesn't do a whole lot for these witches, because there are so many other ways to kill them.
Yes.
I'm so confused. This is a terrible plan, you guys.
Yes, if they actually had some general vulnerability to fire that they were exploiting regularly, you'd be like, oh, okay, if they were pretty darn flammable, or, it's like in Wizard of Oz, you just throw a bucket of water on her, you're done, done. I mean, if it was
like John Carpenter's vampires, when they hit the sun, they like burst into flames. So if they like touch a fire, if fire comes near them, they should like explode in fire or some shit. But it seems to me they just kind of feel fire the same way we feel fire, and they're like, ow, it's hot. That's hot fire. Don't do it.
And at one point, Famke, doesn't she generate fire in her hand?
Yep. Yeah, because she's like this bad. I don't understand. That's what I'm saying. The lore of this movie doesn't make any sense to me.
No.
And that's it. If it's a supernatural movie that I don't understand your lore, you're dead to me. You're dead to me, Dan. Not you. You're doing great.
So the sheriff sends these random dudes out into the forest to try and do something about the witches. And
those are just town folk, right? That he just kind of hires?
I have no idea who these dudes are. And it's so funny. They're supposed to we have to go out in the woods. And then he threatens them somehow. I don't remember what it was. And they've got a couple of dogs. So they go out in the woods, and immediately they're making a campfire. So wait a second. So are you making camp, or you're hunting the witches? I mean, if I'm hunting the witches all night, I'm hunting the witches all night. If I'm going outside to camp.
No, listen. This is a union job, Dan. Okay, they only work for a couple hours, and they need the rest.
So Famke shows up. She takes over their dogs, and one of the guys gets trapped by chains and dismembered in the trees. You must have liked that.
I mean, it was cool. And here's the thing is, whenever Famke's on the screen, I'm more invested in the movie because I'm a big fan. But I just, I don't know, man.
So she makes this one guy eat a bunch of worms, which were like, that's not.
I didn't like it.
I think I'd rather eat worms than have to do the chain thing. Little did I know. Set up. So we go back to the inn. They're at the inn. We learn that there's a troll. They're like, oh yeah, there's a troll too. And we're like, oh, there's going to be a troll. Okay, I'm good with that, troll. And then we have the kid comes over and fanboys all over them with his scrapbook of their adventures.
Which again, very strange to me. It doesn't make sense with A, anything in the movie, or B, the times, I feel like. And he says the word like, I'm such a big fan.
Fanboy.
And I was like, would that be a nomenclature that they would use? I don't know. It kept pulling me out of the movie for some reason.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
When Jim Carrey's doing his thing in Ace Ventura Pet Detective, would he really say those are all things a normal, real human being would say?
But I would argue Ace Ventura not a normal human being, and I totally buy that Jim Carrey would say those things.
You think that person exists in the world?
I think it is Jim Carrey. He's crazy. You see the outtakes, a liar, liar. Great stuff. Very real. This
kid is doing his best Justin Long. It's like Justin Long has to be sitting there going like, this is my kid. I was like,
that's a great call. I love Justin Long.
So we set up that magic doesn't work on the two of them for some reason, which is like, okay, we sort of tip that in there. Like, that's interesting. Witch magic. So the one dude that ate the bugs, he comes in and the witch says something. He says he has some message to deliver, which I don't know where it was. And then he explodes and spews bugs everywhere. And the funny thing is they know he's going to explode because she says, oh, it's the feast of horrible eating or something.
Yeah, hold on. I need to find this.
Okay. I like this part. I like that.
You keep talking. I don't like it at all, but go.
But
okay, I got it.
But she doesn't you'd think like the two of them would sort of duck down and not want to get covered in this guy's blood and worms, but they just
they liked it.
Bring it on.
They were like, yeah, bathe me in that shit. So the spell is called the Curse of Hunger for Crawling Things.
Yeah,
that's what she says.
That's bad.
Is it? How does it make you explode? It just sounds like you eat all sorts of bugs.
Then you explode.
Why? Why would you explode? Come up with a different name.
The curse of you eat a bunch of bugs, then you explode?
At least then I understand what the spell actually does. Right now, it just sounds like it makes you want to eat things, and then the guy exploded. I didn't like it. It bothered me.
So does it bother you when someone says, I have leukemia? And you're like, no, you have the thing. You have the wasting away until you no longer exist because you have cancer in your bones. Is that what you want that person to say, Tony?
Okay. Disease and magic are very different. Let's take an actual magic spell instead. Wingardium Leviosa. I know exactly what it does.
What? Wingardium Leviosa?
Wingardium Leviosa? It's from Harry Potter. What's wrong with you?
Why would I know what that does? It does not.
Because you're alive on this earth.
Those are two words that don't make any sense.
Tell me what you think it does.
Okay, what is it?
Wingardium Leviosa.
I grow wings and then I levitate? Those are two different things.
Very close. It's a levitation spell. So you understand what it does.
Wait,
now, if I told you the curse...
Hold on. What does it have to do with wings?
Well, you don't actually sprout the wings. It's just another way to say you fly. But you got levitation. That's all I'm saying. The curse of hunger for crawling things, nowhere in there does it sound like you're going to blow up. It just sounds like you're going to eat bugs and be a gross person, and people are going to be like, oh, this guy's eating bugs. Don't let him in the house. He's gross. He's got no manners.
Okay. Yeah, that's Wingrosia Levitonium, whatever.
That sounds like plutonium. It's a dangerous spell, Dan.
So he blows up. Meanwhile, the witches are underground working on their fire immunity potion. Gretel has a dream about her parents, which they act like it was something different, but it's not really different. Jeremy Renner has to sleep on the floor like a dog?
Well, I think it's better than them sleeping in the bed together because I got a serious, Lannister vibe from them. Did you?
At one point, you were like, they're gonna start making
when they're like petting each other's faces, and he calls her like babe or something, and I was like, I don't understand what's happening right now.
I was digging it.
Oh, you were digging it. I think my problem is I'm not a Jeremy Renner fan.
Yeah. So he meets the redhead, and she's like putting the moves on him, and he has to diabetes himself, and he talks about the sugar sickness.
I
It was pretty bad.
I just don't like it.
And now we have Hornhead Witch is out there eating bugs, and she gets fooled by the phonograph trap. What did you think of the phonograph and the pumpkin head trap?
It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Let me explain to you why, Dan, before you
didn't
get all
like
upset.
The phonograph.
No. I like the setup of the trap. I think it's great. You know, fake kid crying, "Well, I'm lost," or whatever the hell it was saying. But she walks up to it, the head falls off, pumpkin head rolls away. She stands there for another 30 to 45 seconds doing this. Well, what just happened here? You don't immediately know that's a trap, Dan. It is a fake child. His head fucking rolls off. It's a pumpkin. You're like, oh my God, I'm out of here. This is a setup.
Okay,
she
Tony.
stands there for like another minute before they even jump on her.
Here's my question for you. If you'd been trapped before like that, you would have been trapped and killed. So the first time you come into this, you're confused. You're like, wait, my whole reality makes no sense because I don't know what a photograph is. This is like a witch. She's never seen a photograph. Reality. She eats bugs and lives in the forest. It's like,
hey, if she eats bug, why didn't she blow up?
If she came up there and there's like a telephone sitting there, she's not going to be like, oh, and it's ringing. She's not going to go like, let me pick this up and see if it's for me. She's a witch. She doesn't know how telephone works. She's studying the curse of the eat some bugs a lot.
They are, Dan, they're witches. They got to be paranoid. They're being hunted by famous people in this movie.
But see, that's the whole thing. They spend their time studying witchcraft, not the real natural world of phonographs.
Listen, if I am an endangered species, such as a witch in this world, and I'm being hunted, and I walk up to a child who then is a pumpkin.
Into a pumpkin. She probably thought he turned into a pumpkin.
She's like, oh, what magic have I done?
What witches beat me to this boy and turned him into a pumpkin? I don't understand. I'm looking, where's there another witch?
All I'm saying is they waited too long. Spring the trap earlier. There was too much of the witch looking around, trying to piece it all together. And I just jump on her right away. The head falls off. She goes, what's this? And then boom, you're on her.
So they capture her and there's a fight. I don't really remember that fight. I mean, could go back and watch it, maybe. And then they take her back to the hotel and then they like start to torture her to try and get information.
Okay, good. This is the one we need to talk about.
Okay, talk about it, Tony.
She basically tells them the plan.
Yep.
She's like, we need the 12 children and then one more ingredient and the 3 blood moons. And Jeremy Renner, after she says all that, is like, we should just kill her. She's useless. She's not giving us anything. It's like, she just told you the whole plan. What the hell are you talking about, guy?
He should have just said, we've got everything. Let's kill her.
100%. That is the correct line. But instead, they were like, she's doing nothing. Let's just get rid of her. And then he's like, and then the sister's like, well, no, she just told us everything. Let's go figure out the plan. It's such an easy fix. How was that in the movie?
More importantly, this witch is not necessary for the plan, so they should just dispatch the witch.
Why is she alive still at the end? She should be dead immediately after she tells you the plan.
So they run to the mayor's office and they go through all the records. And actually, I know they go to the sheriff, and I think he kind of helps them. It's kind of weird. He's sort of being an asshole, but he kind of helps at one point.
I don't know.
There's one point at which he helps them, and you're like, wait, he hates them. So
yeah, because he doesn't make any sense as a human being.
No, as a character. He makes sense as a human being. He's an asshole.
I don't know about that.
There's Famke up in the air on her broom, and she starts making fire and shooting fireballs at the town. The town explodes. And then we have like the thing that was like the most confusing thing to me. So Gretel and this old guy fight against Famke, and we're like, as soon as we see the old guy, we're like, oh, he's dying.
Yeah. And
then Hansel is fighting the junior witch, and then we see the troll for the first time. The troll's there to carry out the kids. Now, Have we ever seen that old guy in the movie before?
Not that I'm aware of. No, I don't believe we've seen him. So that doesn't mean we haven't, but I don't think so.
I think that this guy's like, I think he must have worked with them or something. I think we lost like a scene in there where we kind of explained who the hell he is.
Yeah, I have no idea because he definitely knows them. That's the thing. It's like they have a relationship that I'm supposed to know, and I was like, I don't know who you are, sir. I've never met you before in my life.
And then he dies, of course, in this scene, and we never think about him again. And they never like go, "What about our old friend Olaf?"
I hardly thought about him while he was dying. I was just like, okay, can we cut back to the people I know and I'm following through the movie, please?
That was
Ridiculous.
So,
Real quickly, before we get to so Famke throwing fire at the place, and the Hansel and Gretel are like, hey, we got to go find this house.
Yep.
How are we going to find it? Where's the house? And I was like, it's the one that's on fire.
No, it wasn't the one that was on fire.
Are you sure?
Yeah, that was a distraction. Yeah.
Okay. Because I was like, it seems very clearly that there's one house that's on fire, and you should just go to that house.
I think it might have been the inn or whatever. It was like a main building in the house, because he runs off to find the kid, which is in another house.
All right.
And then he like snatches the witch, uses a rope, and then he's like flying through the air, banging through things.
Well, first of all, before he's flying in the air, he's dragging on the ground and goes headfirst into a rock. They make a point of making him bounce off of a rock when he's flying. Or is this a different scene?
That's a different scene.
Why is he flying on two brooms then? This is terrible.
We do the same thing twice.
Are you telling me there's two separate scenes where he lassos a broom and then rides along? I don't like this movie, Dad. I don't know what you see in it.
See, Tony, you were just saying me, in a horror movie, if they see something good, they do it twice.
Do it twice. Don't use my words against me. How dare you, sir?
They're your stupid words, so you can take back your dumb words. Your words are dumb. This movie is a masterwork. It's a masterwork in almost horror comedy. And I mean, if this had been a horror comedy movie, it probably would have been good.
I think I would have loved it if it was I really do. They fucked that up.
So we cut to Gretel. She's in a thing, and then Fanboy is giving her breasts a sponge bath.
I mean, why is this in a movie? What year did this come out?
2013.
It's not okay. I mean, this is the creepiest thing I've ever seen in my life. He goes like straight to the nipple. Like he's bringing that sponge as close to the bridge of her dress or whatever she's wearing. I was like, what is happening? She needs to wake up and kill him. That's what she needs to do. But instead, they're just like, she's like, oh, you're just playing with my boobie? No worries. It's cool. I was only passed out. You sick maniac.
Then we sort of find out about the Grand Witch. And then, of course, she looks through the thing and she sees a picture of an old lady and she's like, wait a second.
Hold on a tick.
And so you're kind of confused because, wait, her mom dies then. I don't understand what the picture's supposed to be her mom. I don't know. But this is when I wrote down, White Witch. This is when we know that her mom is a White Witch. So we're like, okay, that's where we're going.
Sure. But what I don't understand is the Grand Witches thing.
What don't you understand about it?
I don't understand it. How does one... It seems like it's hereditary as opposed to like an earned status. Right. So it's not like you're more powerful. I mean, I guess you are, but it seems like you're born into it, right? So it's like royalty.
Did somebody say you're born into it?
But she is also a Grand Witch. The reason why they're looking for Gretel's blood is because they couldn't get the mom who's a Grand Witch. So they're like, we need your blood because it's Grand Witch blood as well.
I think they just needed a White Witch's blood. And the mom was...
I think they say Grand Witch. I mean, listen, we'll both have to watch this movie again and do this podcast a second time.
Yeah, that seems very likely. I don't remember that. I just remember saying her saying that the White Witch was too powerful to steal, and so they wanted to steal the kid.
Right, because she hadn't grown into her Grand Witchery powers. That's what I thought. Doesn't matter. Either way, it's dumb. How about that?
It is kind of dumb. They should have just said, we need a White Witch's heart, and then you're like, just need a White Witch. That's all you do.
And the easiest way to do it, grab a child.
So Hansel is hanging up a tree, and he like is having a hard time getting out, and then the redhead just wanders up because, of course... And then you kind of like the whole thing where he wanted her to leave because he was embarrassed that he couldn't easily get out of the tree.
Yeah, no, I mean, and here's my thing is again, not a huge Jeremy Renner fan, but I feel like if it was someone who I thought was charming, say a Jensen Ackles, who I basically any movie that Jeremy Renner's in, I'm like, man, I wish Jensen Ackles was in this movie. But I do think I would enjoy more of his scenes because
Sure.
he's supposed to have this like charm to him, and I just don't feel it with Jeremy Renner.
We kind of get it at the end. In the third act, it comes out a little more, but
A little.
At this point, he's really grousy, and yeah. And then she takes him to the healing pond, and then we get sexy time, and it's like,
so he can't swim. Is that what's happening?
I don't.
I was a little confused about this whole thing.
It was weird. So then
he's like, I can't swim, but then she gets naked and he's like, I'm diving in head first, baby.
He's in almost immediately, and God bless him, because
which is funny. I thought that was funny.
The redhead was very smoking hot. Not surprising.
White Witch.
It's a Hollywood movie. So Gretel gets immediately bested, but she's like wandering, and then the sheriff's men they just put the grabs on her in like 30 seconds. It's very disappointing.
She has to get rescued a lot in this movie. It's like 3 or 4 times. But, I mean, Jeremy Renner also gets rescued, so I guess they're just bad at their jobs now that I'm thinking about it.
They don't play her as much as a victim as most movies like this would. So I'm giving this movie kudos for only making her victimized maybe half the time. Because most movies, it's 95%.
I don't know if that's enough to give kudos, Dan. I think you're being a little too lenient.
I'm giving it, I'm saying, well, at least they were trying to make the woman strong, as opposed to most of these things where we're like...
Yeah, but they didn't. They tried and failed. To me, that's not like a good job, guys. Way to try and fail. All right, you either succeed or you fail, guys.
So the sheriff comes over there, and I guess there's an extended cut of this movie, and I guess they try to rape her in the extended cut, which is not surprising the way they do everything.
But why?
Oh, because they're just horrible people.
I get that. I mean, why? As in, as a filmmaker and a writer, in what sense do you see this movie and you're like, you know what it needs? A little more rape. Like, what?
No. So
I'm so glad I didn't watch the extended version. I would have been livid.
You would not have been happy. So she bites his nose, and then they're like beating the hell out of her. And then the troll's over there watching. He's like, okay, I've had enough of this. I'm a troll. This is not cool.
And this is the best part of the movie for me.
He dispatches the fuck out of them. It's
just
great.
Fucking destroys these dudes. And then he steps on the sheriff's head and it just like explodes like a punk. I was like, yes, more of this, please. And then we don't do it ever again.
The troll is like super cool. He's probably
best part of the movie.
He's probably the most 3-dimensional character of the
100%. Yes.
And I guess he's played by the guy that plays Jason. And he's in like a giant suit. And he's in a giant suit. And it's like, it's kind of nice. The practical effect of him is kind of
great.
This is kind of fun. It's not CG. You're always kind of confused. You're like, is it something that they're making look bigger? Or what's exactly happening?
Yeah.
He just does some stuff. And you're like, I dig this troll. The troll is cool. So
I would have liked more troll, to be honest.
And then the troll tends to her. He takes her to like another magic pond and puts magic thing. She's like, oh, bah! And then she's like, and she gives the line when she realized, it's like, I'm getting emotional. I loved it. She's like, what's your name? I'm like, this is what a movie works based on that kind of thing where you're like.
But then they ruin it.
How'd they ruin it?
By giving him the name Edward?
Oh.
Edward. I was like, Edward? What do you mean? You're a troll. Have a troll name. You dummy. Edward. Oh,
they
my
to make
God.
him noble like the greatest of all vampires.
Prince Edward the Troll.
Edward the Troll, Edward the Vampire. We love that name, Edward.
I don't love anybody named Edward. It turns out you're right.
But I don't know. It was a beautiful little moment for me because it was like I knew what the line needed to be. They gave us the line. I'm like, thank you.
And then they spat in your face with it. They were like, oh, we're going to give them this emotional moment. And then, fuck you, Edward.
Okay. So he goes to this other, Hansel's looking for Gretel. He goes to this random cottage. They get reunited. They fall down in the pit. They realize it's their old cottage, that their mom was the White Witch.
I didn't understand, even you saying these things to me, I still don't understand how they got there. I don't get it.
I think they both were just randomly wandering in the woods, and they both randomly wandered upon the
See, I don't like, that's not good. That's not a good explanation
That's
for
very
me.
typical. I mean, if you want to look at all movies, the coincidences that occur that drive you crazy because you're like, wait, how are they both on the same street after they broke up 6 years ago and they see each other across the room and they fall in love? And you're like, well,
But I'm into it. That's, serendipity. Great stuff. This, not great. You're out.
so we look around. The redhead witch, does she show up then too? I guess she's. Oh, no, wait. Where's Gretel? Wait, I'm confused now.
Of course you're confused. This movie doesn't make any sense.
Wait, what happens? Because they meet. They burnt mom. Oh, and then what's her name? The Queen Witch shows up, and
Yes.
they have a. She explains everything. She's like, "Oh, here's the explanation of everything." So we learn all the backstory that her mom was a white witch. The townspeople burnt her, and then the witch just grabs what's her name and takes her away, right?
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what happens. So she's captured.
Again.
And then Jeremy finds the book of super protection.
That's not what they call it in the movie, is it?
Yeah, they call it something.
I don't remember. I honestly don't remember.
So
I would believe it.
They go back to town, and then the redheaded witch is like, "Oh, this is the spell of super protection." The kid is like, "Oh, the spell of super protection." And Jeremy takes him to the cart and he whips it back there, and there's the machine gun and 100 guns and like bullets and bombs and like this gun that like folds down and you go like this and it goes chink 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 and it's like a super gun. You're like, oh, yeah. Super gun! I love super gun.
Oh, you like super gun? I didn't like super gun.
Did you? You didn't watch the credits at the end? They have animations of all the different weapons. Oh, they're so cool.
I mean, that's great. What is he pouring holy water on them?
Well, she does the magic spell on the potion, and then they pour the potion on all the weapons so that they'll be super effective against the dumb witches.
But not really. They don't actually pour it on all the weapons. Listen, again, it's a movie, but he's just drizzling it. Like, it's very hit or miss at this point. So he's going to be in a fight. First shot is not going to do anything. He's like, oh, wait, you should be poisoned, and then he's dead.
Tony wanted like him to go like this: each bullet, let me rub it carefully, dip it in
or like create a trough. Do a trough of this stuff and just dip shit in it and pull it out. And it's like slow motion pull out with the water. Do something cool. Just drizzle it on there like olive oil, please.
So Gretel's in there. She tries to get Edward to like let her go, and then the mean old witch is like, "What are you doing? Talking to her, blah."
Yeah, that's pretty good, actually.
I do good. So we're out there in the woods, and we set up a piano wire trap between the trees, and we're all like, "Yeah, this is gonna pay off, sweet."
This is gonna pay off. Oh, dear.
So they leave the kid there with the gun. He's like, "Okay, I'm like, this was the right place to leave the kid." You're like, he's gonna get to play a good role, sure. And we're not gonna have to be worrying about his dumbass doing dumbass kid stuff the whole time. So the blood moon. So there we are. The blood moon comes, and all the crazy witches, the freak show witches of the world, are there.
Freak show.
I was like, the movie has begun.
Hey, what is this? 65 minutes in?
Probably
in the 88 minutes.
65 minutes in. I'm like, here we go. We're finally at the movie. They're set up above the witches and have like perfect vantage. They have the higher ground, which is what you always want in battle. And then he walks around there with the super gun, and we're going to actually see the super gun. And the one witch is like, "You can't do anything to me." And he just points the gun at her and blows her head off. And I'm like, there it is.
It's a good thing it was one of the few bullets that had the magic potion on it, Jeremy Renner. Idiot.
So then...
So here's the thing. Even just thinking back on it, it is starting here. It is fun.
It's fun.
But here's my problem: is that we learned. I thought that this was like a hocus pocus type of deal where there was only 3 witches.
No, it's
I
100.
genuinely thought that, and then all of a sudden, like they were like, they're all going to meet. There's going to be so many witches out in the woods. I was like, wait, if there's that many more witches, why aren't we seeing them the whole time? I want to see more witches. I want to see more witches throughout the movie. The more witches, the better.
Tony wants like to see them like on their email chain. Yo, you gonna be at the
They probably had emails in this movie because this movie doesn't give a shit about their time era.
You dare? Oh wait, so Shannon made like the great joke. I forgot this joke. I got to do it. So they're in the mayor's office, and his diabetes thing goes off. Right? He has this little wristwatch thing, and it goes ding, and then he has to like go do his diabetes. So I tell Shannon that, and she's like, "What is it? A little cuckoo clock?"
That would have been very funny. I would have enjoyed that a lot.
See, we'd have added that in our humorous version of this movie, which would have been the greatest movie ever. Would have made $40 million on its opening.
To be clear, we also would have recast Jeremy Renner. Just saying.
Jason Ackles.
100% bring him in, baby.
So Red Witch is up there. She throws off the tarp, and there's the machine gun, and she is just machine gunning into the masses.
She's just fucking railing them. It's great. I did enjoy that a good deal.
You're just like, yes.
Yeah.
And then, like almost within and it's really funny because the chief witch literally with her bonus witch have to like bail behind this rock, and they're all like, because of hell raining down.
As you would. Where are you going to go?
So Edward goes up there and he like frees Gretel, and then they like knock him off the cliff almost immediately. Is that what happens? Yeah, they
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Fling him off the cliff, and the witches are just flying off on their brooms, boom, 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 and they're trying to shoot him and everything. It's like pretty good. And then
it's pretty good.
Oh, what's her name goes and gets her crossbow, and then we see the bonus double crossbow where there's like 2 witches coming at her from 2 directions. She clicks a button and it shoots in 2 directions.
Yeah.
Literally the dumbest thing ever, but I love it.
Okay, good. I thought you were going to like this again, and I was worried.
Oh, no. It's the dumbest thing ever, but I loved it.
No, you don't love it. It's just
stupid.
dumb.
It's so stupid.
She didn't load it with... I don't even understand it. I don't understand it.
And then it's like fully daytime, and you're like, wait, it's fully daytime?
Yeah, just... It's like you blink your eyes and all of a sudden it's daytime and you don't know how we got here.
It's like midnight occurred at 5:59 in the morning and then the sun rose at 6. It's like that was not much of a blood moon. So the witches all take off. 2 witches go through the piano wire and are like, it's just like witch parts everywhere.
Which is great.
The kid has the big gun and he shoots it, and the bullet like goes and it expands and then it shoots out and then it just blows her up.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
It's very silly. And then of course the witch goes and hides in the candy.
As you would,
candy,
because it's so fortified with defenses being made out of fucking candy.
But Gretel takes time, and see, this movie does try and do stuff. It does try and like figure out where everybody is at different times. She's like, I gotta go save Edward. Her priority is going down there, and she pulls out has a defibrillator.
Oh yeah.
So she defibrillates him. He comes back to life. I'm like, this is great. And so she goes chasing. So Jeremy starts fighting the witch in the candy house. And then, I don't know. There's all sorts of stuff happens. They end up in the candy house.
All sorts of nonsense.
At one point, Gretel's running down the hill, and she sees the candy house, and she says, "You fuck to be kidding me." I'm like, that's exactly what you would say when you see the kid. You just be like, really? After all this other bullshit, it's the fucking candy.
Here we go.
Right
back to where it began.
Right back.
Full circle. What a great script.
It was a good line. There's 2 very good lines in this movie.
There's a lot of other lines, Dan. I don't know if you know that, but 2 lines a great script does not make.
2 lines is all you need. So they battle it out, And at one point they have her chained up and she's like this. And he just wails on her for like 30 seconds. Just like,
yeah, for a while.
like body blow, body blow, body blow, body blow. I'm like, they give
His
you
blood sugar's probably falling. I mean, they don't deal with that at
no,
all.
but they did. What are you talking about? That's what happens. His blood sugar falls. He falls.
Oh,
on
no,
the
you're right.
ground. She has to, with diabetes, inject him so that he can come
No,
back to
you're
life.
right.
And
Yeah.
they cut off her head with a shovel, which she.
I was laughing very hard this whole time. You're right. I remember this now.
It was it's incredibly stupid, but
Yeah.
it's what you wanted from this movie, and you just wish that the beginning of this movie had given us more.
I just wish there was 88 minutes of it instead of 3.
So they kill her, and then we have this whole sort of other scene where they're like, I don't know, were they in the American Southwest hunting witches? That's what it.
Dude, I don't know.
They're like in this desert. And they're like going there, and you're like, it's the kid, he's apprenticing, and they've got the cart, and Edward's pulling the cart, and then they go and are going to fight this witch, and we're like, oh yeah, this is a franchise, sign me up, because I think 2 would have been great.
No, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, but here's my thing is I don't believe they knew that they made like one good 10-minute chunk. I think they thought the whole thing was pretty great.
Yeah.
And so I feel like they were going to do the same thing in a second one.
Now, so I enjoyed it. I thought that they reached the sort of fevered pitch that the movie needed to be in at the end.
Too little, too late.
And Tony's going to whine and complain because he's Tony whine and complain boy. Nothing is ever good enough for him.
You can't, in an 88-minute movie, at least 45 of those minutes need to be fun. Not 10. Okay? I am so bored and angry by the time we get there that I didn't even remember what happened totally at the end. Like it's too late. It's too late. You can't win me back. I hold grudges.
I just love now I buy this now if they show up in a town and they have like a troll with them, I understand the whole town being very hesitant.
Sure. I'd be like, we're not letting that guy in. keep him out there.
But yeah, I like the scope of this movie. I thought that they kept it in an interesting thing, and then they machine gunned a bunch of witches, which is a thing that we needed to see in the world.
I think that somebody saw Van Helsing and then was like, I'm going to make a movie like that, only much, much, much worse.
Did you like
without
Van
Hugh
Helsing?
Jackman.
Did you like Van Helsing?
I love guilty pleasure of mine. I love Van Helsing. Kate Beckinsale and Hugh Jackman. Yes, please.
Kate Beckinsale. Have you watched any of the new Kate Beckinsale movie on Amazon?
For sure not. No.
Ooh,
Is it really good? I can tell by your face that it's really good. I can tell you're really into it. That's great news. Kate Beckinsale's great. She can't do any wrong. You give me Underworld, Serendipity.
So
Van Helsing.
I think we've decided 10 out of 10 for Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters.
That's not what we decided. That's not it at all. Go back to the beginning and rewatch this podcast, guys. It's not a 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10, Tony agrees.
I'm going to string myself up in a tree.
10 out of 10.
No way.
Okay. Any other final thoughts on this movie?
No, I mean, listen. We've watched way worse movies on this podcast. So, in the grand scheme of things, this was a good week. You know?
In a world of movies where you can't find one good thing to say about a movie.
Yeah. No, this was a good week.
This movie had at least 2 lines that worked.
But my one thing is I don't know how Jeremy Renner became a thing, and I think we need to stop it. I'm just not a fan.
He was good in Hawkeye, as Hawkeye.
No, you know who would have been good at Hawkeye?
Jason Ackles.
Jensen Ackles, you animal. The rumor has it that they offered it to him. I don't know if that's true. He was up for Captain America. They went with, the correct choice in Chris Evans. Never going to fault them for that. But the word on the street is that they offered him Hawkeye, and he was like, no, I'm not going to do a side character. What an idiot. But if he would have been Hawkeye, greatest film franchise of all time. And then a spin-off show, yeah. Whew.
When Hawkeye shoots down the helicarrier, I was like, okay, that was great.
For sure. But that's not Jeremy Renner. Okay, that's the writers and the creators being like, this is a cool thing that he can do. Anyhow, I digress.
It was like the Hawkeye moment. You're like, Hawkeye gets his moment. He shoots down the helicarrier. I'm like, okay, this is cool. Okay, so now we're gonna wait. Who goes first? You're picking movies, so you get to go first, talking about something you like this week.
Oh, great! I think I have to look up the name of it.
I have to because it's a foot medication that I use.
It's really nice, guys. It's a thin powder. Goes on. No. It's a Netflix film, and we watched it Saturday last week, immediately after we did this podcast. So it's been a while.
Oh, okay.
And I think people aren't. I think it's very hit or miss, but it's Gunpowder Milkshake on Netflix.
I started it and I fell asleep.
That's okay. It's definitely, it starts slow, 100%. So like, I mean, listen, you might like it, you might not. I don't know. We enjoyed it a lot. It's not, people are all like, oh, you know, it's another female John Wick, which is kind of true. I mean, it's got the same kind of world building, but I enjoy like there being more than just one female. I like it. It was fun. It was silly, pretty gory, like gorier than I thought it was going to be, which is great. And I had a good time. I'm ready. They say they're making a sequel. I'm ready for it.
I mean, I love what's her name, so I'll probably go back and
Karen
Gillan. Well, I'm sticking on the same train as you, which is what's her name, Lena Headey, I think is how you say it.
Yeah.
Her other thing that dropped, which was the He-Man Master of the Universe Netflix show.
Yes, dude. Yes.
Did you watch it?
No, it's on my list. I'm ready for it. And I love that it's getting a whole bunch of hate.
Lots of hate. 5 episodes. The first episode written by, what's his name? Kevin Smith?
Kevin Smith. Yep.
Go past, just watch the first episode, and even if you don't like it, go to
try the next one. Okay.
Because the first one is just a setup episode, and I was like, ugh. After the first one, I was like, well, I'll see where this is going, you know.
That's good. That's good of you to push through.
And you get to this 2 through 5, 10 out of 10. Just great. The voice acting is Lena Headey as...
I mean, it's a solid cast, yeah.
As Evil Lynn, she's just like so good. And I did not even realize it was Sarah Michelle Gellar as the main girl.
Yeah.
She's great. Just... the voice cast is great. The animation is really good. And just the reimagining of the world is really good. It just really feels... And I understand everyone's getting all bent out of shape because it's not about He-Man. It's like, what is there about what is interesting about He-Man?
Almost nothing.
Almost nothing.
Unless it's Dolph Lundgren, almost nothing.
And so instead, we're looking at all these sort of secondary characters, Tila and whatnot, and some made-up new characters, and Evil Lynn, and we're exploring these characters and, like, you know, why...
Which is exactly what I want, 100%.
And that's what you get. And they kind of are exploring the world, and, you know, it's great. I love it.
I'm very excited.
I'm ready for more. You know, people are getting bent out of shape because they only gave us 5. I love... the whininess of you haven't given me as
enough
content as I deserve. Like,
yeah, I know.
Shut up. You get what content you get.
Right? Like they made what they made. This is what they felt the story needed. This is what you get.
Oh no, there's like 7 more coming.
Is it a broken season 1?
Yeah.
Or like part 1, part 2?
Yeah,
gotcha.
Broken season 1. But it's like they've chosen to do it this way for a reason and
right, you don't get to dictate how they do it. That's not how it works,
you need
guys.
To barf all of the content on us at once because we need it. Oh. Barf. Content barf.
Barf.
It is content barf. So, Tony, tell us what it is we need to watch so that we might enjoy, or you and me might enjoy talking about a bad movie, unlike what we talked about this week.
Let's reiterate, this week still a bad movie.
You heard Tony just said 10 out of 10.
I will never.
10 out of 10. This is Tony Boyce saying 10 out of 10. I am Tony.
I'm not going to say it. You know what was a 10 out of 10? The original Space Jam. How about that? New Space Jam, 1 out of 10.
Oh, New Space Jam was pretty rough.
So that was rough. So I'm only bringing that up because
Yep, low.
the movie that we're doing next week was the movie I was planning on doing on week 4 of our whitewashing.
Oh, wow.
And this is more of a white savior than whitewashing. I think. Haven't seen it.
Are we doing the golf one? No, that's not a
Golf?
savior.
Golf one?
That
Caddyshack?
No. Well, there's like I'm getting things confused. There's the whole thing about it's not the Black Messiah, but where they take like the African American character and they make him like I'm all knowing and I can do everything. There was the golf one with Will Smith.
Oh, is that the greatest game ever played, or is that Shia LaBeouf? The Legend of Bagger Vance.
Legend of Bagger Vance. And so
something like that.
There is this whole classification of these movies with the mystical African American that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I believe that.
Said things about, we're never doing that kind of material because that's very dangerous.
Except for you're doing it right now. A+ material. 10 out of 10, Dan. 10 out of 10.
The only people that make it this far are is my mom, my buddy Todd, and Dylan. Those are the only 3 I know that probably make it all.
Thanks, guys. It means a lot that you're still with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. My wife's never listened to an episode. That's a true story. Anyhow, okay. Back on track.
What are we doing?
We are going to do the Matt Damon smash hit, The Great Wall.
Oh, man.
2016, great year, everybody.
I think I made it about 20 minutes in and just was like,
oh, you gave this a shot. I refused. I was like, I have no interest in seeing this movie. I will never.
We've been driving around and we've been seeing those billboards for his new movie. It's like kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like him doing Kevin Costner in Yosemite or whatever.
God, that's a great show, by the way.
Is it a good show?
I mean, I'm a huge Costner fan. That guy is he's my number one. Draft Day, one of my favorite movies of all time.
Draft
at
Day?
me. Come at me, boys.
Oh, that's kind of a fun movie. I remember seeing that. It was just about drafting, right? I mean,
just about the NFL draft, and it's great.
It's just kind of a nice movie. He's good if he's just in a movie that's sort of about reality. You're like, okay.
Yeah, like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, one of my other favorite movies of all time.
You probably like Dances with Wolves too, because you're.
It's a little long for me, but I do enjoy it. And The Postman, great. I still haven't seen Waterworld.
You haven't seen Waterworld?
I've never seen Waterworld.
Don't pick it. Well, if you want to pick it for this thing, you're only going to get. Well, you're going to get a lot of positive comments, and you're going to get a fair amount of negative comments too. I think it's an interesting movie. I think there's a lot of bad things about it, but I think there's some good stuff.
Sure.
He's actually really good in it.
Well, it's because he's one of the greatest actors of all time. Unlike Jeremy Renner. Just saying.
Second greatest actor of all time.
Barf. Back to.
So we're doing. Wait, what movie are we doing?
Sorry. Yeah, we are doing The Great Wall, 2016.
It was a Chinese-produced movie, I believe, where they brought him in to be like the white guy.
The Western draw, basically. Yeah. So, you need the box office. I get it.
So we're going to explore that kind of idea, which should be interesting. I mean, I
also think it looked terrible, so that should help.
20 minutes made it seem very boring.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's good.
I think this movie's, I'm going to make a prediction, is going to suffer from what Hansel and Gretel didn't suffer from. Hansel and Gretel kept it in a tight little world where they weren't saving the world. Tight. They were like, we got to solve this witch problem in this area, and that's what we're going to do, and that's what happened. I have the Great Wall.
You got one witch town. You got to take it out.
Try and solve hundreds of armies and nations all battling.
And maybe dragons? Did I see a dragon? I could be wrong. I don't know.
I don't think so, but I don't remember that.
There better be a dragon. All right, that's all I'm saying. If they have a dragon, it's a 9 out of 10.
My cuckoo clock on my wrist is going off because my blood sugar level is going down.
I do. That's a great idea. Tell Shannon thank you. That's a wonderful idea.
You dug that joke. I was like, I'm going to steal that joke, and then I was like, okay, I'm not going to steal the joke.
No, you gave her credit. Good for you. You're a good man. You're a good man.
I am not Mancina, or what's the dude who stole all of what's his name's jokes.
2 what's his names? I got nothing.
Mind of Mencia. That guy stole all the jokes from Joe Rogan or something. They wore it.
Oh, really?
Oh, that
Carlos Mencia?
Carlos Mencia. That was a whole big thing, and they like all the Joe Rogan bros are like, "Death to Mencia for stealing our master's jokes."
Oh, wow,
It
really?
was a huge thing. Do you know his crew is called like the Death Squad?
I mean, I didn't know that, but it doesn't surprise me at all, and I just am not.
He's got like this whole cadre of comedians that are like his guys, and I think like if you book one of them, you have to book all of them or some weird.
Oh my god! Get over yourselves.
Weird stand-up comedy mafiosa. It's like,
but also, if you guys are accepting new members, hit me up.
We're ready.
I'm ready.
Go. There's happily someone. Happily. Do whatever you want. Joe Rogan, number 1, 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Is the movie Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters. Thank you for saying that, Tony.
No, don't twist my words. Do not do it. Fly off the handle.
Well, I'm filled with phlegm, and so that means it's time for the show to end. Gotcha.
That rhymes.
If I had timed that a little better, I might have gotten you to spit up. Spit it up, Tony.
I'll spit it up right now if you want it.
So this has been Hate Watching. Thank you for your viewership, your listenership, your earedness. If you like what you see, leave
what?
a comment.
Earedness? Sorry, I totally ruined your flow now. Leave a comment, everybody.
My flow? I have no flow. There is no flow. Just pile of.
Dude, bro, you're like a river. You're like a winding river in the woods, flowing.
Or like a sexy healing pond, waiting for Jeremy's Renner's.
I hope you can swim, guy.
Slip into me.
It's so weird. Oh boy.
So smash that like button, hit that comment button, copy and paste that share link.
just in general, you can put it anywhere you want. It doesn't really matter.
It's too hot in this room. I'm starting to get hallucinations.
Also, if you're listening to this on podcast forms, go ahead and subscribe, and also leave us a review. Apparently, those help. I don't know. I don't know how aggregation works.
No aggregation over here. So this has been Hate Watching with Dan and Tony. I'm Dan, and hopefully we'll see you next time.
I'm Tony. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.